Freunde, ihr wisst, an dieser Stelle gibt es normalerweise den Hinweis auf unsere Partner, auf die Möglichkeit, bei uns einzukaufen, Kohle zu sparen und so weiter und so fort. Diese Woche habe ich aber was richtig Geiles für euch. Und zwar haben wir anlässlich unserer 50. Tales from the Needle Tattoo Folge ein kleines Gewinnspiel /Contest mit euch vor. Und zwar besteht unsere Hörerschaft ja zu einem, doch würde ich sagen, großen Teil aus Tätowiererinnen und Tätowierern. Und wir suchen ja nach wie vor immer noch unser offizielles Tales from the Needle Tattoo Podcast Logo und haben gedacht, wir fragen euch einfach und machen einen Contest da drauf, wer das geilste Logo designt. Damit das auch richtig cool wird und damit ihr das vor allem auch nicht umsonst machen müsst, haben wir alle unsere Partner angefragt und die waren wirklich richtig crazy spendabel und ich will euch hier nochmal ganz kurz einen kleinen Hinweis geben oder einen kleinen Einblick, was es alles zu gewinnen gibt. Killer Ink hat zum Beispiel von FK Irons eine Flux Max Tattoo Maschine reingelegt, die kostet alleine schon über 1000 Euro. Ein Hustle-Butter Display, über 20 Stück sind da drin, ein Black and Grey Farbset von World Famous, diverse Ecotat-Produkte. Unsere Freunde von Chaos Nero Tattoo Supply legen ein weiß Künstlerfarbset mit bei plus Eclipse-Farbe. Coal Black Supply liefert eine Black Loop, eine Black Foam, eine Black Finish, eine Black Water und eine Black Jizzle von ihrer Eigenproduktion. Die nehmen wir bei uns im Studio übrigens auch richtig geil, kann ich sehr empfehlen. Und unsere Freunde von Cheyenne Professional Tattoo Equipment legen einen 50-Euro-Gutschein für deren Online-Shop bei, ein Convention Goodie Bag und eine schwarze offizielle Cheyenne Snapback-Kappe. Das alles gibt's zu gewinnen. Das war ja das, worauf ihr wahrscheinlich die ganze Zeit gewartet habt. Deswegen kommen wir jetzt nochmal ganz kurz zum Ablauf. Folgendermaßen. Ihr habt die Möglichkeit, uns euren Entwurf, eure Skizze, wie auch immer die aussieht, das müsst ihr selber für euch entscheiden. Da gibt's jetzt nichts, keine Restriktionen. Am 30. April 23:59 Uhr ist Feierabend. Bis dahin müsst ihr uns den Kram geschickt haben, also bis zum Ende des 30. Aprils. Am 1.5. werden wir dann sämtliche Entwürfe in unserem Instagram-Feed publishen, wo ihr dann bis zum 5.5. 18 Uhr Zeit habt, euren Entwurf praktisch voten zu lassen. Und derjenige oder diejenige, die am 5.5. um 18 Uhr das meiste hat, bekommt das komplette Set. Alles. Es gibt keinen zweiten, keinen dritten Platz. Hier gibt es nur Winner takes it all. Also Freunde, haltet euch ran. Es ist nicht mehr viel Zeit. Ich habe richtig Bock da drauf. Ich bin richtig gespannt, was ihr macht. Am 30. April ist Einsendeschluss. Am 5.5. 18 Uhr ist Auslosung. Zu gewinnen gibt's ein Tätowier-Equipment-Set im Wert von über mehrere tausend Euro. Wenn sich das nicht geil anhört, weiß ich auch nicht. Wenn ihr Fragen habt, schreibt uns bei Instagram eine DM. Schickt uns euren Kram gerne auch alles per Instagram DM und dann werden wir es publishen. Ich freue mich sehr über eure Einträge und ja, ich hab Bock. Ich bin richtig gehypt, ey. Schön. Viel Spaß. Wir freuen uns.
If your brand doesn't have a soul, if you don't understand that social media is a thing, or if you refuse to be in social media, and if you refuse that now you have to put in the work to see results, yeah, it's going to be bad for you and it's going to be tough.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a new episode of the Tales from the Needle Tattoo Podcast. My name is Zephyr1. I'm tattooing. I interview people from the scene of tattooing, from the world of tattooing, artists and everybody in between. And today we got a very, very special guest here at the Gods of Ink Tattoo Convention in Frankfurt, and it's Gaston from FK Irons. Gaston, what's up?
How you doing, man? Good to be here in Frankfurt, and thank you for the invitation. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Oh, okay. Let's figure if I have any questions there.
Let's find out.
So when have you landed in Frankfurt?
I've landed about a week ago, last Sunday, yeah.
Okay, so and then just business stuff going on?
Yeah, just be meeting with distributors and, just like to come early, adjust to jet lag and also visit some people.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to be fresh for the show.
You flew in from the States?
Yeah, from Miami. Direct flight.
Okay, cool. You live in Miami?
I live in Miami. Yeah, I've been living there for the past 30 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And you are the boss of FK Irons, right?
Yeah. That's my company. I started in 2007.
Really? That's not too long ago.
Yeah, it's about what? Let's do the math. 2007, about what? 18 years, something like that.
Crazy. Yeah. And how come? Have you been a tattoo artist before?
Yeah, I actually used to run 3 tattoo shops in Miami as well.
Crazy.
Started tattooing when I was 15 years old, and actually started tattooing with a machine that I made myself with a needle.
Yeah.
A needle and a big pen, and I strapped, everything together. And my dad was an architect, so I have that Indian ink, and I just gave myself, my first tattoo when I was 15.
Crazy. And so you did like the prison style, the rotaries at first, or do you did like the...
Actually, the first machine that I've done was like a hand and poke. And then, I messed around with rotaries, tried to build a couple of coil machines when I was maybe 17 years old. I failed miserably. And when I was 21, I actually migrated to the United States. And that's when I was really hungry. I only had $300 in my pocket. I spent it all in 1 week. And my background is actually graphic design, marketing, and photography.
Cool.
So I'm like, maybe, I can go back to tattooing and take it more seriously. And that's what I did. I started tattooing here and there. I'm self-taught because in Argentina at that time, when I started tattooing, there was only 1 or 2 guys, tattooing out of their homes. It was completely illegal. You couldn't get supplies. So most people tattooing, they were making their own machines, their own inks, their own needles and everything.
So you're Argentinian. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was born in Argentina.
Crazy.
Forget about the part.
Oh, okay. Such a beautiful country. I've never been there before, but of course you see like the Patagonia pictures and stuff.
It's very nice, very nice. Actually, my mother's side Argentinian, my dad is Sicilian.
Okay.
So
best from both worlds.
That's why my last name.
And what's your, like, when you have this big brand, how difficult is it to get the brand from starting to where you are now? So what was inside of the journey?
To be honest with you, I never planned to start a brand. Like I mentioned before, I was tattooing. I got to own my own studios. And when I was tattooing for someone else in Miami, I remember, I was tattooing with steel machine, very heavy machine, brass machine, some of those machines, weighing 12 ounces, 11 ounces, like very heavy. And I was tattooing at a shop on Washington Avenue. Was a very busy shop, and one tattoo after the other, street shop, and tattooing for 5 straight hours, 7, 8 hours some days, 10 hours with a 12-ounce machine. You'll feel it really quick, the vibration, the weight of the machine. And I started developing like beginnings of carpetano, and I was like, these machines are too heavy. I got to do something about it. Mm-hmm. That's when I decided to, I went to a hardware store from America called Home Depot, and I bought a welder, I bought a hacksaw, I bought some steel, and I'm like, let me see if I can put something together that's a little bit lighter. And that was the beginning of FK Irons. I built a machine for myself that was lighter, from 12 ounces to maybe 7.5. That to me was very light. Mm-hmm. And from there on, I'm like, let me see if I can make it lighter. So I designed the first coil machines with a 1.5 coil, where the coil in the front was big and the one at the bottom was half of the size. That actually reduced the machine even further. And then I was welding those machines myself, cutting them, welding them. So I taught myself how to weld, and everything in my garage. And then I started doing conventions, and I started showing people, there's couple machines that I built. And at that time, social media didn't exist. Mm-hmm. And I was actually visiting message boards and forums, and I would actually take pictures and post, hey, I make this machine. And sooner than later, someone contacted me and was like, hey, can I buy a machine from you? I really like the look. I'm like, sure. So I built a machine for this person. Just to make a long story short, that's pretty much how I started, And I started going to shows, tattooing at shows while selling my tattoo machines. Then I decided to make it out of aluminum, and mm-hmm. At that time, there weren't a lot of aluminum machines. In fact, people hated aluminum machines because they vibrated a lot. So I'm like, let me see if I can make an aluminum machine now that is even lighter than steel machines, knock off, the vibration mm-hmm. and the weight. And I managed to make a machine very light. It was about 2.8 ounces. And that machine was called Pyro. It was a little tiny 1-inch coil machine. And it was great. And then I started traveling a lot. I remember one of the shows that I sold the most. I sold 45 machines in one day.
Crazy. And
at a show. By myself.
Built them by yourself?
By myself. I will build them by myself.
While tattooing full-time?
While tattooing full-time. In between breaks, I would have crazy hours. I would actually work sometimes 16, 18 hours a day. Bad. I gain weight. I develop high blood pressure, like very bad life.
Yeah.
Things that I actually got rid of right now. But So I really put a lot of health at stake, I got to say. Because I wanted to do everything. Yeah. I wanted to tattoo. I wanted to run the shops. I wanted to travel. I wanted to design the machines myself. I wanted to build them myself. I just put a lot of pressure on me. But again, I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have a wife. I had a girlfriend, had a few Didn't have kids, so I just wanted to work. My dad was an immigrant from Sicily that came in a boat and did exactly the same thing. So I didn't know anything better than just to grind. That's what I've seen my dad. That's what I've seen my grandfather. So to me, that was normal.
But that's really, really cool. Like when you build something up from scratch, you just come here and then you see how things develop, just to come over and say, yeah, okay, I got this machine, and also get it accepted by everybody. And it's also cool because when you are a part of the scene, I used to have this topic also with Lou in the podcast we did before, that it's quite not easy, but it's way easier if you are already a part of the scene to get like your stance inside the scene.
Well, nobody knew me in the scene because I never consider myself an amazing artist. I consider myself a street shop artist. I could actually, I'm an artist because I'm a graphic designer, but I never, I think I always underestimated myself, my whole life. I was like, I could do better. I'm never happy with anything I do. Like even now, I can make this machine better. But I wasn't known in the industry. I was not known in the industry. So it's not that the brand became the brand because, this guy, is such a great tattoo artist. Nobody even knew me. I got a lot of backs and a lot of cold shoulders, in the beginning. But to be honest with you, I didn't care because I wasn't doing this because I wanted to make money. I was doing this mostly because I wanted to change, the cumbersome experience that I had with machines. And by doing so, I discovered that there were a lot of people, at the brink of exiting the industry. Some people have developed carpal tunnel. Made a lot of artists that have multiple operations. And I remember when I created the aluminum line, a bunch of artists hated it because it was aluminum and they were, calling this machine a bunch of, names. But then there were a lot of artists that actually saved their career. They're like, you know what? Because of you and after all the multiple surgeries, I'm not able to hold a machine again.
Yeah.
So that to me inspired me, and I kept on pushing. And I'm like, how can I make it better? Then, I make the first rotary machine that you could autoclave and so on. And at that time, what I would do is I would actually design the machines in 2D. I'm a graphic designer, and I hired an engineer to make him in 3D.
Cool. So you did something like a mock-up, like I wanted to...
I would do all the view and the mechanism, but I would draw it on paper, So I would make 3D drawings, 2D drawings, just to explain exactly what I wanted. And I was working with this engineer. He was really good. He helped me develop the very first Halo machine. And we took 2 years to develop the machine, but he was a part-time engineer with me because he had a full-time job. So I have to wait on Saturdays to work with him. So it took forever. And then I'm like, you know what? I got to teach myself engineering. I can't wait like this, and I figure that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, So I took matters into my own hands and I started watching videos on YouTube of how to use SolidWorks, which is the software that I use currently, until right now. And pretty much every industrial designer uses that software or something similar. And in 3 months, every night after work, studying for 3 hours, watching tons of videos, I started making 1 part, making 2 part, 3 parts, sub-assembly, multiple assembly, a whole machine, And and then I'm like, wow, I can now make a whole machine from start to finish. And that was pretty liberating to me.
And so afterwards you found like contract manufacturers which produced the parts and then just set everything together and then...
So I met this guy that used to make parts for motorcycles, pegs and things like that in aluminum, the throttle handle and things like that. And I'm like, hey, would you be able to, make these machines for me? And he's like, yeah, I've never cut, they look complicated to him. But let's give it a try. So I met with this guy, and actually I went through several guys, but this is the first guy that was doing stuff for me. We did some stuff with this guy, then he didn't work, then I worked with another person. But because my orders weren't that large for the volume that they wanted, they wanted thousands and thousands and thousands, and I could maybe make hundreds at that time. I had a hard time with people taking me seriously for tattoo machines. And at that time, they never heard about anyone coming to their shop to develop a tattoo machine. People would come with other things because honestly, machines have been unchanged for so many years. So that's when I decided, maybe now that I'm an engineer, I have to kind of like figure it out how to start my own manufacturer. And that's what I did. I make a few phone calls. I call a company Haas, that's LCNC. And I'm like, hey, I'm interested in becoming a machinist, I want to buy this machine. I want to learn how to operate these machines. And yeah, sure enough, the sales rep came to my shop, and I'm never going to forget this story because he's like, hey, I'm looking for this tattoo machine manufacturer. Yeah, it's right here. He's like, this is tattoo shop. Yeah, this is it. This is it.
You're talking to me.
Yeah, you're talking to me. He said, right here in the back in the little room, that's the manufacturer. He's like, no shit, 600 square feet. And so we actually made a deal with him and bought a machine. I remember $70,000. And I took a loan. And since the very beginning, every penny invested in the company, every single penny for many years until now. And so I bought a machine, and then I realized that with one machine, I cannot do anything because I can cut one part, two parts, or three parts. So, now I need a lathe. So then I bought a lathe, and I got in debt. I got loan. Banks was lending me money. My tattoo shops were doing good. I had a little bit of money from my business because before that I was doing graphic design, like I mentioned before, websites and stuff like that. I had a kind of like an ad agency before that.
But it's cool because you can do most of the stuff by yourself, like the designing stuff, everything. The website, the graphic design, anything.
When I started, I created the logo, I created the brand, I created the website myself, I designed the product, I marketed it, I built it, I went to the shows.
This is really cool, man.
Yeah, like I just couldn't afford to pay people to do those things, because I wanted to do all those things, but I didn't have the money. So I learned a lot of the things to do it myself. And I always, had good credit. In the United States, if you have good credit, it's a good thing. So banks will lend me money, and, I was getting in debt, but I knew that if I had responsibilities that I had to pay, I will figure a way out to make it work. And it's kind of like a little bit of, the driver, because sometimes when people have the money and the means, they're like, oh, I'll try it out. And if it doesn't work. Well, I didn't have a chance for this not to work.
This is for me, like, I also own several businesses. So it's like the same attitude that you have. It reminds me of the attitude that I need to have, because I'm not having like venture capital and stuff, I just need to make it efficient from the first time. So I need to do everything lean. I need to rely on myself. I also have to have it profitable from the first time. When you see all the startup businesses and stuff where just people that are spending millions of dollars inside, and then afterwards you ask, and are you profitable? And they'll be like, profitable.
Yeah, when people say, oh yeah, we'll be profitable in 2 or 3 years, I'm like, damn, man, what do you mean? It was, but again, I guess there are different models.
Definitely.
When it comes to risk, I only take the risk that I can mitigate myself, and I like to rely on myself. So if I fail, it's gonna be my fault. I would hate to fail, and and this happened to me. I'm not gonna say that I never fail. Building machines, pretty much. To get it right once, I have to get it wrong like multiple times. Sure. But I like to go gradually, and I like to do one thing to finance two things. But when it came to the manufacturer, it was either me maybe disappearing from the industry or taking the big step and try to push innovation, and I wanted to make the machine in the United States. That to me was very important to me because, again, I'm an immigrant, and, I felt that I could do this because I'm here, so, and now I'm going to go elsewhere. So to me, that to me meant a lot, and it meant a lot to hire people. The first employees were a lot of people that were friends, people that needed a job around me. And those were the first people, like people that really wanted to work.
Pretty hard to find nowadays.
Pretty hard to find. I never hired people with degrees. I don't care about your degrees. I care what you want to learn now.
Passion.
Yeah, I care if you don't know, it's okay. As long as you want to learn, and we take some time to figure it out. If you're a fit, that's fine. But, later in my career, interviewing engineers and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, I did this work, and here's my resume. I'm like, dude, put that resume away. Just what can you do? Let's go to the back. Come show me here on the computer. Show me some of your work. Oh, no, I can't show you anything because, privacy, my customers. You're going to tell me that you have this big-ass resume and you cannot show me any of your work? Next. until you find, humble people that say, look, I've done all these things and here are some of the products I built. And yeah, I understand this and this and that. So yeah, so with this business, I also got to read people's bullshit really quick within 1 minute into the conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about hiring. I have to learn everything. And it's been a great experience so far, and I'm still learning every day.
Yeah, I guess so. Because like, how big is your brand right now? So how many employees do you have?
Well, right now we're an alliance of companies, but before the alliance, we were 127 employees at FK. And now I think we are 500, maybe 600 between all the companies. Don't quote me on that because I don't go counting employees, but a bunch of people.
Just average, approximate.
Yeah. So now, FK is part of Body Our Alliance, which is, companies, friend of mine decided to, come together and freaking, push in the same direction rather than competing and, be stronger, by working together.
Have you stopped tattooing?
I'm not tattooing like I used to before. I used to tattoo every single day, including Sundays. But now I'm married. I have a family. I design products. I do conventions. I take care of my daughter. And now for me, tattooing is more of something. It's a privilege to me. Because obviously FK Iron takes most of my time, and the other time, of course, as well. Family is important. So I gotta say that I've decided to spend more time with the family because also as growing this thing and never seeing the finish line, I've neglected my family a little bit. And when my daughter was born, now she is a human being. She's 5.5. Now she calls me. Say, finally, I kind of like decided to settle and stop. That never-ending shift. That wake up at 10 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and sometimes go to bed at 4, 5, and wake. It's just I can't do that anymore, man. I mean, I'll do it if I have to, but again. I gotta be an example for the family, and I gotta be fresh, now to respond to our company and to the products. And as you've seen, this is not an industry of a couple of guys anymore. It's an industry of a bunch of people that have, good ideas. Some have better ideas than others, and it takes a lot of effort,
It's also becoming like serious business, not like it used to be like 15 years ago or whatever.
Yeah. It's a serious business, and I hear that artists, are in the industry, and some distributors are complaining that it's a little bit saturated right now, right? The industry, and a lot of people. I was having a conversation with an artist and a distributor today, and they were telling me that, oh man, it's difficult right now, and this and that. And to be honest with you, my outlook to the current economic situation in the tattoo industry, because it affects the artist and it affects supplier, is that we had it easy for so many years that we think that that's the way that every business works.
Yeah.
And every business doesn't work like that. It's the complete opposite. And like I mentioned before, now, having 18 years after having an understanding of economics, because nobody does this for free.
No.
You're not going to be an artist just to do tattoos because you love art. You got to feed your family.
Yeah.
So the problem is that right now we live in a world that if your brand doesn't have a soul, if you don't understand that social media is a thing, or if you refuse to be in social media, if you refuse to tap into, influencers, whatever you want to call it, protein, whatever you want to call it, and if you refuse that now you have to put in the work to see results, it's going to be bad for you and it's going to be tough, but this industry was too easy for a while.
Yeah.
Like even artists, like the big name artists, they would actually go to a show maybe even 5 years ago and sit around and charge whatever crazy money because they have lines and lines and, years of booking.
It's not there anymore.
For some artists that have changed, And yeah, of course, more suppliers, more conventions, that's going to generate more demand. You know, there's almost a convention every single weekend of the day in every single part of the world.
Here in Germany, it's multiple.
Yeah.
This is why I said like the Gods of Ink is pretty well crowded, which is quite rare nowadays because, for example, I was in Milan in January.
I was there too.
Okay, cool. Probably we met. And the week after in Paris also. Paris was crazy crowded. But you see, when you visit another convention here in Germany, for example, it's way less crowded than it is here, right?
I mean, this one is crazy because last year we were here at the first one. And this one is kind of like the biggest one I've been in so far. Yeah. I mean, so far in this couple of years after COVID. It's crazy. I also, do conventions in Latin America. The last one that I went in Argentina was insane.
Yeah.
And they're doing it this year again. So I'm really well organized. Really well organized. It's kind of like in a place like this, probably a little bit larger. Mm-hmm. Big convention center. But really good. I was really impressed, and I did that one for several years and now they're doing that one. But yeah, coming back to that, it's a different industry, and for those artists that are having a, hard time and suppliers, don't give up. This is how business is, For example, the restaurant business, they work most restaurants on an 11% profit. Yeah. And if people are not making 4 times their money, they're complaining.
Yeah, of course. It's just, I don't know, because when I started tattooing 2010 as a professional, it was way different than it used to be, because like you said, we didn't need marketing, anything. It was enough that you were a tattoo artist. People came your way. You didn't have to do anything.
You were like a god.
Yeah. And this is what when you talk to old artists, for example, that have been around for, let's say, 20, 25 years, some of them, okay, they gathered their crowd, but it's pretty hard for them to fit into the new era where things like you even mentioned, they are important now.
Yeah.
Because it changed. The saturation is in the market right now.
Yes, and I think what's going to happen is that, and this turned into like kind of like tattoo economics type of conversation, but it's pretty good because not a lot of people are talking. So I'm happy that we're touching this topic. But what's going to happen too is that now we're going through the phase, in my opinion, of saturation. And the saturation is going to take care of itself of those people that are not going to last a long time. Yeah. And only those that really have great art, that really have good customer service. Because let's face it, before, tattoo industry was a little bit hostile, right? You could tell, go fuck yourself, someone, and you would be a badass. And now you got to be careful, man. You get sued. A lot of things, bad things that can happen. So, this is also going to kind of like clean out a little bit as well of, the post-COVID saturation, because I think COVID had a lot to do with this. A lot of people had a lot of time watching too many videos, too many YouTube videos, how-to videos. And also, unfortunately, there are going to be some suppliers and artists that are not going to be willing to put the work. Yeah. There are going to be some suppliers that are not going to understand that they need an amazing website. There are going to be a lot of artists that don't understand that they have to push the work on Instagram. There are going to be a lot of artists that, want to continue to work with substandard products. And to be honest with you, does the equipment make you a good artist? No. But having good equipment that you can rely on gives you a peace of mind. Or at least equipment that has a good warranty. So when it goes wrong, you can go and say, listen, I need a replacement.
I think it's also the access to equipment right now, because this is something that definitely changed. When I started tattooing, it was almost impossible if you haven't had a registered business, to get professional equipment. And currently it's crazy easy to get tattooing equipment, pretty good tattooing equipment. Yeah. And also because we have these plug and play machines, it's also the entry barrier into the scene is not that high as it used to be.
Correct. Yeah. And before, we got to say this, before it was completely different. Before we would only sell to, and I'm talking about the industry, not only but before we would only sell to professional artists. But now professional artists are kind of they get everything for free. Yeah, true. So if you go with that mentality and you don't support the newcomer, I think you are doing, you're doing harm to the industry. Number one, they're going to get substandard products because of the charming new tattoo. It has been proven today. Look at all these artists. More than half of these artists, they start on their own. Yeah. But they get access to good seminars, they get access to good training, they get access to good, even health classes, and they've done it because some suppliers, were catering for them. And I think that that's going to be the future right now. The future will be to pay attention to those that are starting so they can start the right way. Whereas before, if you're not a pro, we don't sell to you.
Yeah.
Well,
but how to become a pro,
Exactly. Honestly, we most of the sales that we do is to distributors, and we also have the front end. FK Iron is kind of like a brand because of the price point of the machine. Most likely an entry level guy, may feel a little bit intimidated of the price. It may not need all the features yet, and stuff like that. But we created the FK1 machine, which is a machine right now that in terms of dollar goes for $549, still made in the United States, still, have the same battery capacity of a Flux. But it's a machine that an artist can start tattooing right now with, and even a seasoned artist, but, it has a little light that changes color as you go up and down. That's all you need, a coil machine did that, up and down, on and off. That machine does exactly the same thing for half of the price of an EXO. And, we are paying attention to that, because if not, they're going to go and buy maybe a substandard machine on eBay. And since they're at it, they maybe are going to buy substandard ink. And when, the next moment they're giving someone some bad stuff, in this game because, I can just get everything from eBay and everything is fine. What we try to do is we try to educate people as well. That's why we come to the show. We like to talk about the pigments, world famous, permablend, FK irons, and we tell people, okay, we have this machine, and then we have this other machine now. So the choice is yours.
Yeah. How hard is it for you if you see, for example, products sold on Amazon, like product piracy and everything? How does this affect, for example, I think if you're doing some research also on your own machines and stuff and see that people are stealing your designs, for example, how is it? What's that feeling? You know what I mean?
Well, at the beginning, it was pretty disheartening because, you invent something when nobody has anything. We're talking about 18 years ago. And all of a sudden, you see that product being done exactly the same thing, and it costs a fraction of the cost. You can even make it for what they're selling it for.
Yeah. Because they don't have the development cost.
Yeah. So it feels pretty shitty. I'm not going to lie, But they have copied us so many times that by the time they copied us, we already working on the next version. So it's now, up to the copycatter. Do you want to continue to copy us, or maybe now that you have all this capability, why don't you make something on your own, right? And we're starting to see some things, coming from overseas. And to be honest with you, I can't say that everything that comes from overseas is bad like it used to.
Yeah, definitely.
There is some stuff, of course. There is more interest in probably selling a machine, like they can sell you a dildo or toilet paper as long as they're making money, But so there's some products that are not too bad for people to start, and I think that's good too. I think that fills in a gap that we can make a machine for $200. We can't.
Yeah.
At least not in America, or Germany. We're not. It's just the costs are now there, but they come in at a price point that some people, are fine with that, and it's okay, whatever they want to do.
What's your favorite part about your current job right now? So, because like you said, you used to do all the stuff on your own.
Yeah.
And then when was the tipping point that you said, okay, I can't do everything anymore. I can't do anything like this. We can't keep it like this. How are we going from there? And when did you find your passion for this, what you're doing now?
I think I found passion about building machine the first day that I cut a machine for myself. I'm like, this is a lot of fun. I know the machine is terrible, the first one I built, but I failed. Honestly, I want to wake up every day and do this, and never thought that I was going to do this and make a living out of it. Because at that time I was running an ad agency out of my living room at the same time. I'll tell you about that part. So, but yeah, no, I found passion from the beginning. Now, fast forward a bunch of years ago, and we merged with world famous Painful Pleasures, Killer Ink. Also, we own two body jewelry companies, Anatom Metal and Neo Metal in the States. And that's when align with companies allows you to put a global plan of management, right?
Cool.
Rather than me being the one behind everything. Now, between our partners, we can say, okay, we need to put some structure here. Combined, we can afford it. And what I do right now mainly is focus on innovation. I don't pick up the phone anymore like I used to. I like to come to some shows, but my main goal is to stay ahead on the innovation and try to, come up with new ideas. That's what I do every day. Every day we are designing products, and only a fraction of what we create and we prototype makes it to the market. A lot of things don't make it to the market because they are too far-fetched. A lot of things the industry's not ready. A lot of things are too expensive to make. So, we always have to find a balance. And, a lot of things are not profitable sometimes. So not every idea gets made and makes it a market, like I mentioned before. We got to fail a lot to nail it.
And what's the process behind it? When did you decide what to produce and what to discard?
So that's the one thing that makes me want to continue making products at home, is because it's kind of like a giant lab, right?
Yeah.
So everything starts with an idea. I may start with a sketch, the typical sketch on the napkin. I may sometimes sit on the computer in SolidWorks and design basic mechanics or shape. Sometimes I may just design the machine from start to finish and do it myself. Now I'm doing it less now than I used to before, because that requires a lot of hours. But yeah, so right now the best part is to be able to lead a team, and kind of like being able to accomplish in much more efficient ways, with better sleep, without taking blood pressure medication anymore, without overweight that I had before, with the stress, with the drinking, with it's a lot better, and being able to coach a team and to guide them. I like to inspire them. A lot of our engineers, I took them junior right out of the school.
Oh, really?
So
cool.
some of our engineers, FKR was their first job, and it still remained the main job. And they are the ones that are making the products that you see right now. They are the ones that are taking, some of my ideas or initial design and taking it to the finish line, So, but again, I'm there with them all the time. Why? Because they're engineers, they're not tattoo artists. So there always has to be, that feedback from the tattoo industry. And I tattoo with every machine I make.
Yeah.
Every machine I make, I will tattoo heavily. And that's when I start tattooing often. New machine, Gaston is tattooing. We're a bunch of people in the company. Someone is getting tattooed, and it's getting tattooed for free. And it's getting tattooed whatever they want or whatever I want. And for a while, we had a tagline, tested in humans, because honestly, so it's the trial on people, then it's the trial of electronics. We even have built electronic units and computer that can test a machine, fire a machine, run it, stop it, start it for days and months. And we would have 100 machines running, connected to this computer, turning on and off, and sometimes, we discover that there is a malfunction in an electronic component and we got to go back, and so it takes a long time for a product to come out. It's good to say that usually between 1.5 to 2 years for a product to be fully done. So, for example, the Flux Max is a product that we started designing 1.5 years before.
Okay. This is crazy fast.
Yeah. Well, the Flux, actually, the Flux line, because the Flux Max, was a lot easier, but the Flux, the wireless, and I'm talking about the mechanics, the wireless part actually came from a power supply that we designed. And then I'm like, how about if we shrink it, put a battery in? Because the Flux was the first commercial wireless machine. And so now we have, because this is not a video, I can show you something. I'll show you something that we're working on.
I will describe it to our viewers, if I might.
But this is the next thing that, I'm working on. And when it's going to come out, I don't know. But as you can see.
Nice. Looks cool.
It's pretty good.
Can I describe it to our audience?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what we see here is like a wireless pen. And not only this, we only see a digital display there
and you see no buttons.
I don't see any buttons. I'm really excited.
It doesn't have any buttons.
And how is it controlled?
And I have a prototype.
Oh, you have a prototype.
Let's say I have a prototype here. So basically, the way this is going to this machine. Oh, look.
ASMR.
Yeah, ASMR. So the way this machine is gonna work. So you go like that, in and out, and you're done. Back in business.
Crazy.
With a complete different machine, and no more buttons. It may have wireless charging as well. So I mean, again, this is again, who knows when you're gonna see the product? But yeah. That's what's coming up right now, and this is what I'm working on right now at the present moment, and it looks fucking sick.
Yeah, it looks really futuristic. You know, like an Alienware computer, kind of.
You know that I was a creative director of Alienware, right?
Nah.
I was a creative director.
Really?
Yes, it's a Miami company.
I didn't knew that. I
remember when Alienware made the black alien head.
Yeah.
That was my idea. Because it was, for real. It was white before.
Okay. Yeah. Then if you know this direction, you know where this shape
It looks like, there was a computer by Alienware called the Aurora.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it had like kind of like the gill. I've learned a lot there also working at Alienware because it was also a manufacturer. That was in my 20s. That was a manufacturer of computers for Miami.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I was always too poor to afford an Alienware computer, so...
It's a really good computer for gaming. I don't know now. I mean, I've been detached from that company, of course, many years ago, but they were the kings of gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great experience. Made a lot of good friends there.
Cool. But yeah, it looks really nice. I'm really excited when it will come out. Yeah. And when we talked about this health stuff and everything, and I know that a lot of also tattoo artists grind a lot and they don't have this balance between healthiness and work because all they know, like you said, is grinding.
Yeah.
And what was the tipping point for you, and how do you maintain like a very good life balance of the work-life balance?
Right now, I limit myself with the amount of work that I want to put out. You know, and I can do that because, first of all, I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'll be 49 in a couple of days.
You look way younger, man.
April 27th. Yeah, thank you. And second of all, you know, I have a 5.5-year-old daughter. I want to be here for a while. And yeah, I just want to enjoy life, man. I mean, life is not only about grinding. I mean, if you could do it, if you could find the balance, perfect. I just found the balance way into my life, you know. Again, I'm 49. I'm just finding the balance. You know, I had a couple of, situations, no wife likes a husband that only works 24/7. So you got to make some compromises, and you got to choose, you know, just your company or the kids and the family. Of course, I choose the kids and the family, you know. So because of that, you know, I just try to limit myself about maybe 8 hours a day. And of course, you know, there's the occasional all-nighter if I have to pull it. But before every day was an all-nighter for many years. There was no balance before. Like sleep for me was kind of like something that I did if I had time. And I ended up in the hospital many times too because of that. Panic attack. I developed panic attack, chest pain. I thought I was gonna die so many times, and it was just because I was overwhelmed, you know, full of stress, and my body wasn't getting the rest. So, yeah, you know, a human being cannot function without proper balance. And I'm an example because I develop a lot of freaking bad things and habits. Yeah.
Sometimes I think schedule is the key to everything, you know, because you have to maintain like 20% free time every day, you know. I try to do this, but it doesn't work pretty well because like if you know the deal, if you have some work to do, you're getting phone calls the whole time, you're tattooing, and then you have to, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Especially when you run a shop and everything. So I think this is pretty hard to get yourself like on the schedule. And I think, as you said, if you have a family that you take care of, it's way easier because then you have a very good reason to do it for.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, work is important, but I think what's more important than work is to work smart. And that's something that I did not do at the beginning. You know, at the beginning, I just jumped, you know, into whatever. And a lot of the time, if I would do it right now, it would be completely different. It would be more planning, less stressing,
more efficient.
But again, what I couldn't plan because I didn't know anything before. What am I gonna plan? You know, I mean, sometimes you gotta go through shit.
Yeah.
To figure it out.
This is where you learn.
That's the way I learn, you know. But an advice for people that wanna do something of their own is because right now, you have social media, you have a lot of things that you can watch on YouTube. Watch a bunch of YouTubes about becoming an entrepreneur. Watch a bunch of YouTubes becoming more efficient with your time. Before that didn't exist,
Yeah.
But now there's not excuse to not be more polite and more organized and more disciplined with your work. Because honestly, you could learn anything. Like honestly, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have gone to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would actually spend my life watching YouTube videos about engineering because, honestly. So right now, like I mentioned before, if you're complaining, I may understand that may be hard for some people, but the main thing is that please look around. It has never been this easier to learn and to...
It's just a click away.
To better yourself. Just use the tools that are out there.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of people now hating AI. You can hate AI or you can embrace it and become part of the evolution when AI rules your life.
It won't go away.
It won't go away, just like the internet. You can hate the internet. You can hate cell phones.
Or you can use it.
Or you can use and stay connected and, do business. I mean, we do business on our cell phones, and... Back then, people said, fuck this. I'm not going to carry this in my phone and charging every day. Who needs this shit? Well, my man, if you don't have a cell phone with you, most likely you're not paying your bills.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about the artificial intelligence, how it will affect also the tattoo industry in the next couple of years?
So I am a huge advocate of artificial intelligence, and I use it in many, 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 many ways.
ChatGPT saved my life.
Listen, not only ChatGPT, also I use some because I have a YouTube channel about my photography. Photography now takes big part of my life. Something that we didn't talk about it, but I leverage a lot to help me with my edits. Of my my videos. I leverage a lot to plan better, like I mentioned before. That's what I'm saying. I leverage a lot to find strategies. I leverage a lot to even come up with designs. Like one of the things that I've learned to do with ChatGPT is to train ChatGPT to understand a little bit about your interests, what you want, where you want to get, what you're trying to accomplish. So I kind of created a model that in ChatGPT that I can refer to that kind of has a little bit of what's in my head. So if I want to design maybe something, a feature, I may prompt a couple of things. Based on prior information that I have fed. And a lot of the times, I get, oh, wow, I didn't think about that, But the one thing is that I do not use ChatGPT to do the job for me.
No.
I use it as a tool to enable me to accomplish my goal. You know what I'm saying? There is no ChatGPT design yet, and probably there will be. I mean, I can see a day where I can actually prompt the computer the features of a design, and I will get a 3D model. Hey, diameter, this thing, this length, do this. Yeah, that's coming for sure.
Give me 20 different variations.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to like now the future of, and that's why people should actually embrace this technology, because I think that the best designers are gonna be great prompters.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, what do I think about people using AI to create tattoos? I think that kind of if it works for you, fine. But do you want to? Would you call yourself an artist if a computer's doing the art for you? I don't know.
Depends. So this is also the question when you're doing realistic, for example, right? So most of the artists back in the days, 3-4 years ago, used Pinterest, for example, to get a lion reference. We all did the lion reference, the 3 that are available that look great, tons of times, Nowadays, if you are too lazy to just do a prompt and get yourself a unique picture out of the ChatGPT. This is pretty nice because I'll get my reference there, but I will do the design job and working this out by myself.
Yeah.
So this is where I would say I would consider myself to be an artist. For example, if you are doing
prompter.
the photographs of your references by yourself, it's also artistry.
Yeah.
The transfer to the skin is probably then more craft.
Yeah.
But I think, it depends on how you...
Yeah, no, most of my tattoos have been black and gray. And I mean, I can show some of my stuff here. I drew pretty much everything. But if it was a portrait, I would trace it. and which is kind of like copying too, you know, right? Like if you do a portrait, I mean, there's not much imagination when it comes to the
it's better not
to what it needs to look like, right? It needs to look exactly like the reference. But again, yes, like I mentioned before, if it works for you, you know, more power to you. So this is from many years ago.
Dude, this is great. Cool.
Yeah, so that's coin machine, all this stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, if it were, I see some tattoos right now that I can't believe that that's a tattoo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
especially here.
Yeah. So today it was kind of like a little bit the opposite. Before you have to be a great artist, and kind of like the rendition was a little bit flat. You know, a little bit kind of like the same from shop to shop. You know. Like for example, you know, American traditional tattoo, bowl line, colored in, you know, and maybe where the creativity was in creating, you know, this line work, that's where most of the time went, because then you would actually go and pack the red, pack the blues and slap some black, you know. And now it's kind of like a little bit more, it's different. Now artists feel that, you know what, let me actually use a computer or all these tools that I have, ChatGPT, create an amazing fucking image that I don't know how I'm going to do it. And it's all about the execution. Yeah. And that is like, how in the hell this guy managed to make a tattoo look like that on skin with needles, ink, and it's just, I can't believe it. But, you know, it just kind of like flipped. Now it's all about the execution and the technicality in laying the pigment on the ink. Whereas before, I think it was more of, and again, I mean, there's a lot of artistry, and I prefer to carry on me Japanese traditional tattoo. Until today. I don't want to have, you know, a Mario Brothers. Or, that's not my thing, you know. But there are people that love it, and I have nothing against. But I do love traditional tattooing, you know. And, you know, but when you see, you know, traditional tattooing, it was more all about creating that masterpiece on paper first, you know, that got transferred to the skin and not necessarily had to have, you know, a lot of gradation, a lot of color. Sometimes it was black and red, sometimes black and red and yellow, and it still looked amazing. Whereas before, if you are going to trace a picture from ChatGPT or Midjourney, whatever, put it on people's skin, and you're just gonna do a couple. Now it's all about executing the realism and making the tattoo come out of the skin.
And the funny thing is also, when we talk about artificial intelligence, my opinion was at first that the craft itself will be done by a machine before the design process is done by an artificial intelligence. But nowadays it's different. It's the other way around. So what do you think, as a machine manufacturer, how far away are we from tattooing robots, where you just, you know, you are a designer, you just feed in your design and the machine does the tattooing for you?
All right. We are probably a few lines of codes away, and I'll tell you why. You know, at FKR, we have some machines that do some robotic automation to, like, for example,
these
like
arms. I don't know.
Yeah, so pick something from here to put it there. As long as I can program the arm to do whatever, it will repeat it. Yeah, it won't fail, and it will do it exactly the same thing. I could even use my own motion of my own hand to replicate the motion. Now, it's a matter of, will the customer, you know, stay still exactly the same thing, right? So, again, I think that it is a few lines of codes away, like I mentioned before. But I don't know. Would you want to pay for a tattoo done by a robot? Maybe not today, but maybe yes tomorrow. Who knows? You know, we would have never thought 20 years ago that we would actually put letters and trace a reference, and we say, no, fuck that. You know, I'm quitting. But if you want to be an artist, go out. Yeah. All realism, a lot of realism, a lot of, you know, crazy stuff. Even, you know, people that do, you know, amazing, you know, fine line work or that very intricate kaleidoscope type of thing. They also use computer to create that and repeat. Some people do it by hand, you know, great. But end of the day, you know, if this is feeding your family, I guess you're just going to do what you're going to have to do, you know? Yeah. To be successful and you know, and prevail. Sometimes I think it's just that most of the people that just want to do a tattoo, you know, that they will probably go for these robot tattoos because they don't care about tattooing, they don't care about the artistry, they just want the tattoo. But it will add value to the ones that are staying, that are artists. And this matches up to what you said earlier, that like the artistry is this what survives. I think we're losing a little bit of the artistry, in my opinion. But I don't know, man. Because
you think so? I think it's getting more diverse also in styles.
But it all depends how you're looking at it. If a person comes and says, yeah, just slap on me that ChatGPT design or Mid-Journey, I don't think you're going for a custom piece. You're just going for wow factor.
Yeah.
Whereas my back piece that was designed in conjunction with Johan Finet from Sweden, I sat with them. You know, we were great friends. We are still great friends. We sat down together. We planned it. We designed it. I'm like, I have this vision and I know your work. And we collaborated together, you know. I could have, you know, let him do the tattoo, but he actually, because he worked with my machines, it was a surprise. Hey, let's collaborate to do my back. Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And to me, it was a great experience, you know, like my whole back. He did my whole back, and he flew to Miami. I flew to Sweden. I actually did a guest spot in his shop. I've learned a lot from him, tattooing next to him. I mean, again, to me, was all about the creation of my piece, and it was an experience. It was, hey, I want something, just figure it out what the computer gives you. To me, was different, you know. But again, that's me, and that's me many years ago. I don't know if I would be a 20-year-old today, my mind, I'm sure, will be completely different, right?
Probably, yeah.
Kind of like my dad's mind is different, and my grandfather's mind was different. You know, sometimes we are just a reflection of kind of like what we saw as we were growing. And I didn't see none of this shit growing. I'm seeing it right now. So it's kind of like hard to accept. But for my daughter, this is going to be everyday's life.
Yeah.
You know, normal.
We were raised in a time where we haven't had cell phones and stuff. We used to call, you know, when we
Beepers.
wanted to meet our friends.
Yeah. I mean, that was amazing. Like, imagine, like, in the 80s, no cell phones, no internet. It was amazing.
I was born 89, so I don't remember that much, but
but it was amazing, man. I mean, you would actually connect more with people.
Yeah. But it's also cool to be like a part of this development of tattooing, also to see where it came from in just these. I mean, I'm tattooing for 14 years now, and it's great. Has changed 180 degrees. Yeah. So crazy. So what's the next big step for FK Irons, the next big goal?
So the next big goal for us, I don't know. I think, I think we are up to the next big thing right now. There are several things that we're working on, and it's not necessarily machines. One thing that I can tell you is that we are watching what's going on. You know, we are very much aware. And I think, we still are one of the few companies that still can hold a tattoo machine and do tattoos. I do it. And I'm going to continue to come to conventions, continue to absorb, continue to interact with artists, and try to find opportunities to provide artists with better tools before they even know that they need those tools. And that's, I think, what I've done, from the beginning. There were people complaining about heavy machines, but nobody knew that maybe they could actually tattoo with a lighter machine. Or, rotary machines were mocked for the longest.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I haven't heard a single coin machine at this show, right?
Probably the Dan Cubans, but that's it.
So it's going to be like continuing to push boundaries. Like this machine that I just showed you, there's nothing like that on the market.
Yeah.
Yes, you have seen a demo how it works. There's nothing like that. And again, I didn't know that I was going to come to this point maybe 3 years ago. And I don't know what's going to be in my head, 2 years from now. So like I mentioned before, we work on like a couple of years in advance to kind of like forecast what we need in the future. So I think that we are working already on what's coming next, but it's not going to be only tattoo machines anymore.
Okay, I'm really excited to hear about this. So we almost got a full hour of talking. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. It's tradition in our podcast that the guest has the last word. Yeah. Whatever you want to say, like greet somebody, your Instagram handles, whatever, or your photography, which is pretty amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So I have a photography Instagram where I share some of my photos. It's Gaston Shutters on Instagram. That's also my YouTube channel. But the one last thing that I want to say to people, leverage the tools that you have at your disposal. You have it better than anyone else had it a couple of years ago. So don't be lazy. Don't complain. Go and put the work.
Dude, that's perfect. Thank you so much for being here.
There you go, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Kinder, was soll ich sagen? Das war's leider schon wieder mit der aktuellen Folge von Tales from the Needle. Ich hoffe, dass es euch Spaß gemacht hat. Ich hoffe, dass ihr euch gut unterhalten gefühlt habt und ein bisschen was mitnehmen konntet. Wenn ihr Rückfragen zu gewissen Themen habt, was auch immer, lasst es uns gerne wissen. Ansonsten würden wir uns sehr freuen, wenn ihr uns bei den gängigen Streaming-Portalen bewerten würdet. Erzählt auch gerne euren Freunden davon. Über einen Shoutout auf Instagram und anderen Social-Media-Kanälen freuen wir uns natürlich auch immer. Support ist kein Mord, denkt dran. Ansonsten wünsche ich euch erstmal einen guten Start in den Tag oder einen guten Start in die Nacht, wann auch immer ihr das hier hört. Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören. Wir hören uns nächste Woche wieder bei Tales from the Needle. Vielen Dank. Ciao.